Stephen Mansfield, New York Times bestselling author and speaker.
Doug Tenaple, I'm the creator of Earthworm Jim.
Tweet Groups.
I'm Victor Dweck.
Joseph Carter, I'm the Mink Man.
This is Dave Baker from Forged in Fire.
This is Leanne Morgan. I'm a comedian, and this is why you should never
Don't ever.
Not ever.
Don't waste your time.
Oh, you really should.
listen to those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate. I am Lucas Pinkert. I'll be playing the part of the Reverend today, and with me as always is my partner in crime and a man whose mom is 6 months away from parole.
Yeah, go to freemason.org. Sign the petition. Noam Chomsky is signed. Who else? Who are the other people?
Some of the other people. I'm not going to say that because I love Lynn too much. And you're rude.
Okay. All right. Oh, now
Dan
high-roading me.
Dan Gibson, the Reprobate.
High-roading me after saying my mom's in prison.
So today we've got David Baker. Is back on the show. We asked him all the questions we didn't get answers to the first time.
In addition to
all of the follow-up stuff, we talked to him about his career as a dancer, the new season of Forged in Fire, Grady Powell's debut,
his Amish barn
that he's got put up. We talked to him about men's mental health, and
he was in Footloose too.
Grease 2.
Oh yeah, Grease 2.
He was in Grease 2.
He might have been Footloose too.
And we have maybe one of the most wheels off bits of controlled rowdiness that we've ever had, and maybe what will become our new liner.
Yes. So I'm going to steal an idea from Dusty Slay here. If you're watching this, and if you're listening to me, go ahead and hit the like button. You can always go back and unlike it if there's something you don't like. But go ahead and hit the like button.
Yeah, like, subscribe, ding the little bell, make sure you get notifications whenever we go. And without further ado, David
Senior Baker.
Fuego. Stanley, we've got back maybe my favorite guest of all time. And that is a man that literally needs no introduction, though we'll do it later.
Definitely the most handsome and dapper.
Absolutely. It's historic weapons recreation specialist, dancer, and Missy Elliott head conductor extraordinaire, David Baker. What's going on, Dave?
Man, I just came off of having a month off and being down in Virginia on my farm working on the place. I hired the Amish to put up a barn, and you would not believe that in 4 days, 2 20-something-year-old young men in their little button-up plants with the suspenders and the Tom Sawyer haircuts put this barn up. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful.
Okay, so I've seen pictures of it, and I want to kind of get into this because anybody that's been following you on Facebook has seen the progress of your farm really over the last year. You completely gutted a house. You've rebuilt it. It looks absolutely beautiful. The barn has recently got up. What made you want to hire these two Amish young men in order to do it?
Amish pole barns are a thing, and I talked to a number of businesses and neighbors that I have down there in Virginia, and all of them have had this one company, CHA Pole Barns, group out of Pittsburgh. It's an Amish company, and they're remarkable. Their prices were, right in the ballpark. And when they came out, I mean, these young men worked from sunup to sundown for 4 days. Put up a building, I'd still be working on it. I mean, if I had a crew, I'd still be. I used to frame houses. We didn't do them like this.
Right.
And they knocked this thing together, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's perfect, square, passed all of its inspections. It's amazing.
Did they use any? Are they allowed to use power tools? I mean, I typically they.
I like to say God loves a loophole.
It's battery. It's not plugged in.
As a pastor, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you can swear that something's the word of God, but you probably aren't going to follow all the rules.
Yeah,
because some of them get a little bit wild about stoning people and things like that are frowned upon these days. But as I understand it, and please, I know I'm no expert on Amish, but as I understand it, that tools can be used for the good of the community.
Okay.
But they can't be used for personal stuff. I mean, it's like you can't use stuff as a convenience.
Okay.
You can't. I mean, it's really hard to bring in 300 acres of grain without industrial tools,
Right.
and try to continue to earn a living. So, I mean, and I know that there are different Amish communities with different rules, and just like there are different, whatever
Right.
religion there are different communities that have their own thing. But I can't say enough nice things about these guys. They were, every day they just worked their butts off. They were polite. They were clean. They, just fantastic. CHA Pole Barns. I got to give a shout out for this company.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Well,
I will work with them again if I ever need another structure built.
So how do you get in touch with them?
They're a major company.
Okay.
They're Amish owned company in
Okay.
Pittsburgh.
So you don't have to like post a letter.
I don't know if they're in Pittsburgh. They're somewhere in Pennsylvania.
That's crazy. But it's awesome. I mean, the barn is gorgeous.
yeah. So we're looking forward to the barn. I think
I am so excited. It's so the total footprint is 50 by 32. The interior, the closed off interior, 30 by 32 with 12-foot ceilings, big sliding doors, windows. I mean, I have in my entire life, unless I was working for another company, worked in a garage, a small workspace, tin shed. So I've never had the room to spread out. I've always been both tripping on the work I was doing and the tools that I had. So having the opportunity to build this shop for myself, for my own work, eventually, hopefully, to be teaching there, is just fantastic. I get to build how I want to build it, where I want to build it, on my property. And you've seen the pictures of my property. It's so beautiful there that
Absolutely.
yeah.
that it's mind blowing to be able to be working and looking out the door and seeing the corns 6 foot tall now.
So you mentioned teaching. What are you wanting to teach out of there? You wanting to teach people how to forge?
Bladesmithing, weapons, weaponsmithing. There's a big interest in learning, due primarily to the show and introducing people to the fact that you can make your kitchen knife or make a kitchen set, make the knife you want to take hunting and everything else. But it's a lot. Being self-taught, I know for a fact it's a lot easier to take a class, learn from somebody, get the basics before you commit to buying hundreds of dollars worth of equipment and pissing your wife off because you've got a fire in the backyard.
Yes.
Yeah, there's actually a friend of ours that took his son when he was turning 13, so kind of a coming of age. His coming of age.
Yeah.
He took him to a smith and spent 3 days making their own sword, which
Yeah.
I thought was a really cool way to introduce your son into becoming a man. And
That guy was actually a contestant on Forged in Fire and had his own show on the History Channel for a period of time where he was making
This is the
muskets and
Smith?
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Daniel something. I can't
in
recall what his name
Arkansas,
was.
I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember.
That's
it's
wild.
The property that I own, the long term is to make it an event space, as in local art shows, teaching, weddings. That's why I'm going through building the house back into sort of a neo-Victorian. It's new, it's modern, but it'll feel like the original house, like a Victorian house. I don't know if you saw the pictures of my bath.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bathtub, the view,
It's
the tile.
stunning.
It looks awesome.
Today, you just crawl into that thing.
Yeah, I don't know that I would get out of the bath. That's probably not the most masculine thing, but that looks like
I know. Everybody says that, but once you're in a slipper clawfoot tub and you're just soaking in it, and it's 89 degrees with 85% humidity, and you got this cool water, the wind is blowing through. It's just like,
oh man,
a pool. I don't want a pool.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you're the king of England.
Well, how?
Exactly. All I needed was and that beautiful young lady scrubbing my back, and I would be,
and a cigar and some bourbon.
Yeah. There you go.
I probably had bourbon. So no, it's a labor of love. This house is a labor of love, and it's kind of at the same time an art project. A friend of mine from California came out, Nancy, and she is a designer, and so we went and picked colors. colors to me, there's like green and brown and blue and black. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So we went through
and steel
and paisley.
Yeah.
Color, copper, bronze. So we went through all the Victorian color schemes and everything else to pick the colors, pick out the colors for the house. So it's a multi-level thing. It's an art project. It's an investment in the future as far as, imagine what you said about having your 13-year-old son on a 3-day thing building weapons. Well, cool, but you're also going to stay in the old Victorian house.
Oh, yeah.
Have the campfires at night and, watch the fireflies goof around or sit on the porch if it's raining and stuff like that. So
you get to
make
be
make it an entire experience.
You get to be a very masculine, rough man during the day and then get pampered at night in a beautiful house.
I'm going to start packing my overalls immediately.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm so in.
Serious, you're welcome, man. Just come on out.
Well,
my porch is like one of the greatest places on the planet. My son and I, we just got up there and cracked the beers and started playing guitars.
Okay.
There's nothing like guitars on a porch in the South. It's
yeah. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. You posted a picture. What kind of guitar do you have, and what kind of music do you like to play?
Well, okay. So a lot of things. Play guitar for a long time, and I've never been good, but I play because I enjoy singing loud, being obnoxious. A year ago or so, I cut this finger, and I cut the tendon.
Oh.
So that finger doesn't quite work right anymore. So you'll see me on the show pointing at things, and this finger just floats around doing something because it's I've lost control.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah.
Huh. So I know it's like lives on my hand now, but I don't know.
It's like a tail.
Well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, it's my vestigial finger.
Well, Phil Keggy only has 9 fingers.
That's true.
And he's one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
This is true.
Django Reinhardt, he played with 2 fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These 2 were burnt, so he played with these 2 fingers.
Yeah. It'll only keep you down if you let it.
Yeah. So I've been relearning how to play, because there's nerve damage in the hand, so I don't have a lot of feeling in my fingers or fingertips, which is great for grabbing hot metal. It's like, what is that burning meat smell? Oh, it's me. But you can reach right into the coals and turn them over. It's all good.
Well, there you go.
So as I was saying, I've been relearning. The picture that I recently posted is a thin body Ibanez. So it's an acoustic electric Ibanez guitar. This one behind me is, what the heck is this?
Yeah, I saw the 12. Yeah, that's
12 strings of Dean. I have a collection of guitars. When I started doing the show, it was kind of a thing. I kind of gave myself this. All right, well, every season I get to buy a guitar.
I like that policy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and then like season 9 came around, or season 7 came around. I slashed my hand. I said I really need to stop buying guitars until I learned to play them better again. And then I saw that Ibanez and I bought it.
Good man.
I was in there to buy guitar picks, and I sat down, and like an hour and a half later, the guy goes, "Man, you really like that guitar?" I said, "Yeah. How much is it?" It's an obsession.
Yeah,
But as far as playing goes, I tend to play kind of Western blues music, American pub music. Stuff like that.
Fun music.
Yeah, music that tells
a
a story.
lot of stuff that from back in the 70s and when I was learning it. Pardon me. Can I say that on the show?
Yeah, we'll bleep it, but it's fine.
I was afraid I was going to fuck that up. You can use that. So yeah, like I said, I started playing in high school, and so a lot of the music from back then, Cat Stevens and still Crosby. Still, there's a lot of bands back then. So I've always kind of been into the mellow kind of guitar music. So
okay, so Crosby, Stills, Nash, or Young, who's the real talent?
Oh, geez. Honestly, you have to watch the documentary because it's brilliant.
Okay.
The real documentary is Laurel Canyon, I think it is.
Okay.
Or something of the canyon. And it gets into when Laurel Canyon in the 60s was the that's where all the bands lived. Crosby, Stills, and Nash were hanging around, and I think it was I can't remember that.
Laurel.
Anyway, another female player said, you need Neil Young to come in because you need that extra guitar, and his falsetto is going to be perfect with you guys. And they sat down and did it. Back in the day when you could, just reinvent your entire band in the backyard of
just bring in Neil Young.
Yeah, over at the Monkey's house. It's like
yeah. The Doors, the Byrds, the Eagles, Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell, that's it. I think she's the one who added the thing. The Mamas and the Papas, they were all up in there.
Oh yeah,
the
that's awesome.
Well, it's a fascinating period in time for music. In that, FM radio has just started to happen.
Right.
Big concert venues were just starting to play rock and roll, and it's funny because half that stuff that was folk and rock then is now kind of country-ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to reposition it in what people think of it as now, so it's really interesting. But all those guys want to be blues players.
Right.
The Beatles, the Stones, they all wanted to be bluesmen.
Yeah. There's a lot of
drugs happened, and blues guys on drugs. That's rock and roll.
So what about Glenn Campbell? You mentioned the Mamas and the Papas. He was a big player in that early on.
There's Glenn Campbell, the entire Hee Haw gang.
Oh yeah.
Roy Clark, Jim Stafford. He did all those comedy songs.
Yeah. So when we go down to go visit Dave, I'll bring my bass.
We go up.
Yeah, we'll go up and to the right.
Yeah.
I'll bring my bass, and you can bring our banjo, and we'll just all sit on the front porch and make it happen.
I'll bring some spoons too.
Banjo. I abuse it sometimes, but not really.
Oh well, sweet. So you don't have to bring anything. You can just show up.
Great.
All right.
That's my only talent. My only talent is just showing up. A harmonica.
I threatened myself with a box full of harmonicas the other day, so that's the next thing.
Beautiful.
I tried mandolin for a while, but I have really fat fingers.
Same.
And mandolin is.
My son plays great mandolin. I'm not there, so.
I'm not either. I've tried it. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, you're right.
Everything's really
it's
close.
very small and very quick.
Getting good on a mandolin is different than playing a mandolin, and it's like. I consider myself a serial guitar abuser, but you can usually tell what I'm playing. On a mandolin, it's questionable.
I also am a serial guitar abuser. I broke the head off of one of his guitars once.
He did. He broke the head off of one of my guitars, and he dropped my Harley. Yeah. So.
Really?
I know.
Yeah.
It's okay to drop your own bike, but dropping another guy's bike, that's just bad form.
I agree.
That can get you kicked out of the club.
I've got no defense.
It's like,
no defense. My only talent is showing up and apparently breaking guitars and motorcycles.
Good for you. I made that for a number of years. That my only talent was not showing up.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. That part I'm good at. Well,
string of really bad cars and bad motorcycles. Sort of thing.
Well, I have one question about
on the side of the road. You drove right past me. I was waving at you.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I've got one question about the farm, and it's specifically about the shop that you're in now, which I've heard you refer to as the Hole. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. There's the Hole. There's
the dungeon, was that one?
Torture chamber.
Yeah.
So it's the sweat box from Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, there you go. So how excited are you to get into the new barn, specifically to have air conditioning in a place that?
I don't know that I have air conditioning in the new barn, but I will have very large fans, and the ceiling won't be here. It will be way up there.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, there were a few days when I was back working and they were building the barn, and I'm sitting here looking at this new beautiful barn being built, and I'm sitting in the sweat box, and it's 90% humidity, and I'm water pouring off of me. And
Yeah.
I finally said, screw it. I'll wait till it's done. No, came back up here to Connecticut, built some stuff, and it's the what I call the small shop, or the whole work. It was a stopgap. I needed a place to work while I'm there, and in the winter it's not bad because it's small and it's easy to heat.
Yeah, and there's a furnace that you're working
but
with.
a tin building, with a tin roof and no insulation in the summer in Virginia it's literally that torture box.
Wow.
I mean, I have a fan in there, but other than that, I actually pulled one of the window units, air conditioning units out, but it had to be like right here to do it.
Oh man,
I can only imagine.
I can't hear anything in this here anymore because it's got a. I learned about heat exhaustion. That's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The South will teach you that lesson in a hurry.
Yeah. Growing up in the desert in California, you think you know about stuff like that, and nope.
Yeah, we just recently got back from Death Valley, and the heat was brutal, but it's so different than it is back home. Yeah.
Are you about to say it's a dry heat?
No, I wasn't. I was going to stop short of that because that's what everybody from Arizona says. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's wonderful, but it's a dry heat."
And Nevada.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't buy into that. Having grown up in the desert, I mean, there were so many days. I grew up in Riverside, California.
Okay.
There were plenty of days that I opened the front door and my eyeballs dried out. Where you're blinking and it feels like, why does it feel like there's sand in my eyes? Oh, I get it. My eyeballs are literally drying.
Yeah,
you want
there's
to be
no
a gecko
water.
and be able to lick your eyes or something.
Yeah.
Or you get on a motorcycle and you start riding, and the air that is hitting your skin hurts.
Yeah, it's like being in a dryer.
Yeah, you show up. You show up and you're a mummy.
Yeah.
I used to have a funny old Jeep, a CJ5. No, I mean, it never had a top on it. And I was doing a gig in Vegas, and I'll just drive out there. Well, we broke the stereo because I was pouring water on my head and it blew into the stereo, and that killed that.
No.
We went through, the fellow I drove out there with, and I went through maybe 4 gallons of water between dumping it on ourselves and drinking it. And it was, we came back at night. We decided we drove back. We left it at about 10 at night.
Smart
and drove
move.
back. Yeah. It was, again, it's humidity to me. I love it. I love being in it. I love the tropics. I love that feel.
Have you been to Houston?
Working in it's a different vibe.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's great because when it's hot and it's humid and the wind blows, it's like being in a swamp cooler. It's like having air conditioning.
Yep.
It's when that wind stops blowing that when it gets still. And, the corn stops moving and the trees stop moving and you start.
It's just living in a swamp. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's that way here, too.
You take a shower and you can't dry off. It's like, this towel's broken. I don't know what's going on.
Forge and Fire talk or dancing talk.
We're gonna
What
hop
segment are we
into
in?
let's talk about the new season of Forged and Fire and the last season of Forged and Fire.
Dancing segment coming up.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the new show host Grady Powell. He's done a phenomenal job.
Mm-hmm.
We're members of the Forged and Fire fan page, and at the beginning of the season, there were some people that were reluctant to the change. I will say, Grady,
you're really nice.
Thank you. I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who put up a lot of snarky crap is what they put up.
They did, but he's handled it beautifully.
People don't like change, and people get very used to certain things. But some of the things that were written were just downright mean, and I just don't have time for me.
Do you think that blacksmiths are more prone to resist change?
I would say 90% of those comments came from fans of the show and have nothing to do with any kind of smithing work.
Yeah, I think that's
a good point.
Very few
Just
comments
fans.
from people who were actual smiths.
Yeah, I think But Noam Chomsky has one of my favorite quotes about the internet, and he says the internet is literally the worst place in the world. Grady did a great job of responding.
I don't remember exactly what he said because this was like a year ago or so. But he came on and dropped a truth bomb on everybody. Because I was there, I was one of the guys eating popcorn, kind of watching. Everyone either not liking him or it had nothing to do with him. They had other issues. But he came in and he addressed everybody in the fan club and said, "Hey, I'm here." Yeah, again, I don't remember specifically what it was, but he addressed it.
Yeah,
and did it very well.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Grady's a great guy. He's a fun guy to hang out with. We spend a lot of time together. We've gone fishing together, and his wife Meg is a wonderful girl, and their baby's adorable. But he's a fun guy to have on the show. I mean, he's got a really, I don't know, it's like a little boy quality to him. He really gets excited about stuff, and when you see that happen on the show, that's legit. That's how he is. He'll jump up and down when things happen.
I mean, how can you not in person, looking at all of those weapons and the kill test and the strength test, like all of that, I would be jumping up and down excited too.
Well, and
it is fun. Here's my other. You're talking about Norm's comment. My new thought on the internet is nothing travels faster from the brain to the thumb than stupid.
Yeah, no doubt about that at all. So we're talking about Grady's enthusiasm. One of the episodes that I saw, he was most enthusiastic was the WWE crossover episode that you guys had, where
we had some fun with that.
Yeah, Ric Flair came out from behind the scenes after several
the Nature Boy himself.
Yeah, WWE themed tests. What was that like having him on? Did you guys actually get to spend any time with him? Was he kind of in and out?
Yeah, he was kind of in and out, and we were on a tight schedule to get his stuff done, and for the finale of that, Doug wasn't there.
Right.
Just a little COVID scare. It was fine, no problem. But the test came back as inconclusive or something, and he had the sniffles, so it was like, ooh. Throw the brakes on everything.
I hope the doctor told him it will not kill. It's a bad joke. Bad joke.
That was a terrible
I'm
joke.
sorry. Back to Ric Flair.
Back to Ric Flair. So we didn't have a lot of time with him, but he was a really nice guy. We caught a lot of flack for that show, but at the same time, a lot of other people just loved it.
Why did you catch flack for that show?
There are so many people who are forged in fire purists.
Okay.
So every time we do something outside the normal format of the show, it's like, oh my God, they're jumping the shark. It's like, well, we didn't jump the shark. We murdered it. We drug it up on the beach. We cut it up.
And then you fed it to the wolves.
Shark. But that shark's dead. That thing is long gone.
Yeah.
So you did have a really great catchphrase in Doug's absence of your blade is lethal, which now I think that might be if we're not going to get the it will kill, I definitely want the your blade is lethal memes to start popping up because that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Is that something that you planned out or something that just happened?
I don't know. I figured I killed that dummy and that was pretty lethal.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's long. So it was a neat episode for me because those two swords are really great swords.
Yeah.
They came out really nice. So cutting with them was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you also decapitated it.
Yeah.
I pretty much almost quartered that target. And a long sword's a weapon that I studied. So, I've studied the use of the weapon. So it was a lot of fun to be able to, because I normally don't get to do a kill test.
Right.
So doing it with a sword that I've studied was a lot of fun, which is, it's a joy when I get to do a test that's about, or with a weapon that I like against a target that's fun to cut on. So
yeah, no doubt. It looked like you were having the time of your life whenever you were getting to do it.
Well, speaking of swords that you like, I through some research we've found this has been a episode of Rev and Rep Investigates.
Yes,
that the Forge and Fire folks don't like pokey swords. Is that a true statement?
Okay. God, I never write anything down. Remember, stupid to the thumb. No, they don't. And the reason is cuts are far more dramatic.
Right.
If you go to a target and you cut it, it's a lot more dramatic than poking a bunch of holes in.
Yeah.
As far as the art of swordsmanship goes, when you get into small swords, kolashmar, rapier, from horseback, the tucks, the estux, that are all really just thrusting swords. It's a different art form, and as a martial artist who studies this, to me, that's really exciting. So trying to sell our producers on swords that are less dramatic in their cutting ability is often a difficult thing to do.
Well,
and nothing against them. And that's nothing against them. I agree with them 100%. Visually, if you've got a pig and you poke a bunch of holes in it, it's not nearly as exciting as taking a sword and cutting it in half.
Yeah, this is true.
You could tell them that Arya Stark, one of the top assassins in Game of Thrones, used needle.
But see, we actually did that. We did the
yeah, I guess you did.
Épée de combat. So the épée de combat was technically primarily a thrusting blade. It had enough an edge to do some cutting, but not lopping arms off. But so we have done. I mean, we've done a number of them. There are some that are particularly interesting to me that we haven't done, and it's primarily because I haven't developed a test yet that's dramatic enough to show off the blade on TV.
How about a water balloon test filled with blood?
We would like to. We'd like to volunteer our producer Colton. Colton will actually come and will be y'all's pincushion if you need him to.
Colton, quit moving.
We did a water bladder test. God, it was a number of seasons ago, where I can't remember what it is that they filled with water, some kind of big bladder, and they filled it with water, and it weighed a ton. And we whacked swords off it all day, and it just bounced swords back at us. And it was ridiculous. It would have been perfect for a pokey sword, but we had a cutting sword on it, and all we did was bounce off the dang thing until we turned it around and hit it with the tip, and the thing went boom and soaked everybody. We said, "Well, okay, that's not going to work."
That could be a good way to demonstrate the difference between, if you're whacking it with a really sharp long sword and it's doing nothing, and then you tap it with needle and it explodes. There you go.
There you go.
There's your visual aid. Done. What's next?
Well, again, it's General Patton, the Patton saber, the Indian or the English India saber, the Polish tuck. These are swords that, if you look at who and what they were used against, say the Crimean War, you had Russians in heavy wool, right? Heavy wool jackets, but you really can't cut through that with a saber. You might cut through it, but you're not going to do deadly damage.
Right.
But if you're moving on horseback and you stick right into it, you'll go right through the person. So it's the saber those sabers were designed for a specific thing. In India, you had the guys wearing basically lamb fur vests or things like that as armor, and those will turn a sharp blade. Rawhide underneath with fur on top will turn a cutting sword, but a thrusting sword will go right through it. So.
That's so cool.
It sounds like you've developed a very strong argument for pokey swords.
Yes.
So you don't need our help.
We'll begin the petition.
I need to make the pokey swords dramatic. So I actually had this conversation just like 3 days ago with one of our producers, and so my goal is to come up with 2 or 3 tests that make the pokey swords exciting to watch.
You could do like a COVID test gone wrong. Stick it up your nose too far.
I don't know. I've had a couple of nurses scratch parts of my brain that I didn't know you could touch things back in there, and I felt very violated when they did.
Forehead multiple times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, where you're walking around the rest of the day going,
Yeah, and it burns. It was so bad.
Yeah, no, imagine that with a pokey sword.
Yeah.
With like a little cotton swab on the end.
Oh, it'd be
it doesn't
terrible.
burn all day. It burns for about 30 seconds, and then it doesn't matter.
So one of the questions that we see often pop up on the forums is, at what point do you think you guys will run out of historical weapons before you either have to start reusing some of the ones that you've done before, or are you going to continue to try to do unique stuff all the time?
We actually already have reused some weapons, or revisited some weapons, or revisited slight variations on certain weapons, but I've got a library of bladed weapons that go back to the Bronze Age. So I mean, we're nowhere near even scraping the surface. We've done a little over 200 episodes now.
We've got at least 9 more seasons, Morty.
Oh God, I hope so. That barn's starting to suck some money out of my pocket.
Yeah.
The concrete goes in next Friday.
Ooh,
is the electric
the insulation after that? Right, that check.
Is the electrical in?
No. I'm going to run the electrical on top of the drywall. That way, I can access anything cut in new lines.
That makes sense. Yeah. You can let the barn evolve.
It doesn't need to be pristine in there. It's a workspace. But I did find something. Okay, this is cool. So 30 by 32. I'm going to put in a loft shelf, about 3 feet for storage. So to access that, I found a company that still makes the hardware for library ladders.
Really?
Yes. So I'm going to put 3 rolling ladders to access the stuff up above.
How classy!
You can put.
That's just it. If you're going to do something, do it with style.
There we go.
You can put in a bookshelf behind it and do the Beauty and the Beast scene where Belle's picking out books.
Don't laugh. There are some places in my house that if you know where they are, you push the panel and things open up. Yeah,
secret rooms.
That's so awesome.
Well, I don't have a secret room, but there are some secret panels in my house that are that are really, really fun. I mean, we're working on them right now. So.
Okay, so you've mentioned now the library ladders. You've mentioned the books that you have that have tons and tons and tons of swords.
Yeah.
What right now? What books are you reading, or what are your favorite books that you've got in your library?
Gosh, I'm reading this one right here, The Use of Medieval Weaponry. I'm always trying to find books that are going to just increase my general knowledge of stuff, as well as like this book. It's more about the use of the weapon and how was it used in combat? Why was it used in combat? And as a weapons builder, it helps me understand the aspects of weapons and why you add them, why you take them away, why you build them certain ways. And the fact that, my job is to do destructive testing on these blades really adds a deeper knowledge of what certain blades and what certain steels and what certain techniques will put up with, what they're capable of surviving. And it's really amazing what things are capable of surviving. But most bladesmiths aren't going to spend 2.5, 3 weeks building a sword and then put it through destructive testing.
Yeah.
That's I'm lucky that I have a job that pays me to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I build all those weapons that are displayed on the show.
Right.
So I take those weapons and test them, sometimes by smashing them into bricks or logs or trees or things that you think,
shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever let Jay test your weapons, or have you watched?
Jay tests plenty of my weapons. Yeah, my weapons often go through the pre-test, or
Right.
If we've got a new target situation, we need to know that target situation is going to work. So whoever's doing the test uses my blade. We're not allowed to use the Smith's blades until we're on camera doing the actual test.
Gotcha.
So that's the first time we get to use those blades.
Did Jay smash a chair on any of your weapons to make sure that test was going to work during the WWE episode? Because I think
he smashed a chair on it. He cut think we had some ring ropes he was cutting with
the
it.
turnbuckles that Doug
Yeah.
cut. I have to say, my wife and I really love Jay because he always comes up with some kind of adverb of the way that I'm gonna viciously or mercilessly slash your blades or whatever. And so we try to guess what it's gonna be before he says it.
Obstinately.
Yeah, just one of the games that we play. I have never seen him happier than when he got to smash the steel chair onto the guy's knives in that episode. I think that's one of the reasons why it sticks out.
I would love it.
I think he loved wrestling as a kid, so he was really into the whole.
Yeah, I mean that. As much as you said, people have complained about it. It's great to see you guys doing new things and doing things that are fun for y'all.
I mean, that was a business thing. See, History Channel also has wrestling on it, so it was a cross promotional kind of a deal. That they have a new show It's like a Pickers, but they're looking for old wrestling memorabilia. So they got a bunch of the old school wrestlers scouring all these places looking for old school wrestling memorabilia.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
They're finding posters of themselves from back in the 70s and stuff like that. But I see. I was never into it. I'm like, Ric Flair, wow.
Well, you do have a connection with Ric Flair because you've both worked on a lot of rap videos.
Oh, yeah.
So that's in our last episode, we started to talk to you about how you got into bladesmithing, and you revealed a bunch of really interesting tidbits from your past, which we have for the last 10 months been kicking ourselves because we have not followed up on some of these things. And maybe the question that we're asked the most by our fans is, why didn't you talk to Dave more about his past as a dancer?
Yeah.
As this was a huge missed opportunity for us. So you said that's kind of how you got your start in show business and stuff. When did you start dancing?
Okay, so.
And do you still dance?
Okay, I was a full-on theater geek in high school. So started dancing in theater in high school. We were doing musicals. We were the first high school in the United States to do a Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh wow!
It was a huge production with radio mics and the whole thing.
Yeah, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, that was my sophomore year in high school. In my junior year in high school, we did Pippin and Cabaret in Rep at high school.
Beyond Venue.
Kind of risque show. It's like, so
we're singing all the music to
a
him.
high school theater director who was the man's brilliant. Gary Krinke. He still teaches out in the Inland Empire, I think, or in the Southern California area. He's still running theaters out there. He's like into the third generation. I know people whose grandchildren are now taking classes from him. I went to high school, so it's like, and he's great. And so he pushed us to do a lot of stuff. But what I discovered was that the cutest girls were in the dance department.
Yep.
Good call.
So if you got good enough to be in their annual dance show, you got to spend a lot of time with these pretty ladies.
It's the same thing with male cheerleaders, except that's too far. They get to be around pretty girls, but too far.
Oh, I thought you were hanging out with male cheerleaders. Which is
just on the weekends.
But, so anyway, when I left Riverside and made that daunting 60-mile trip to Los Angeles, I started studying dance there. I was going to junior college, Santa Monica City College, and they had a large dance department. And since it was the 80s and dance stuff was still happening, you had movies that had. They were doing Grease,
Grease, Footloose, Dirty Dancing.
I was in Grease too.
You were in Grease too?
Oh yeah. I didn't have a character. I was like, third core dancers, but
it doesn't matter. Grease 2 is being. Yeah.
You have to know where to look, but you can actually find me in a couple of dance numbers.
So where do we look? Because that is getting purchased tonight.
What's the timestamp?
All right. I don't know. We push some guy off a bus or we stomp on his books. wearing Letterman jackets in the opening number, then it's one of those things I literally have to watch it and go, get there. Because it's like boom, like that. You need to know exactly where to look.
That's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm going frame by frame through Grease 2 this week.
I have a scene similar to that in one of the Walker Texas Ranger episodes. They shot at a high school and they needed a bunch of high school extras. So there's me as I don't know, 13, walking in the background behind Walker, and that was it. That's the extent of my silver screen.
Did you get paid?
Yeah, whatever, It was really just great to be a part of it.
Like as long as you get paid.
So, are you SAG now?
Yeah. well,
I did that. I did as part of the one of the schools where I studied, we did some dance fashion show stuff. It was the 80s. Disco, it was the early 80s. Disco was still a thing. You went out dancing. So as working on and off as a professional dancer, man, well, pretty ladies dancing for
yeah. I mean, you got to work with the talents that you're given, and it sounds like you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, I don't know that I was ever that good, but there were a lot of pretty women in the dance department.
Lots of ladies. It's not a bad strategy.
Not at all.
Well, have you seen Schmigadoon on Apple TV?
What?
Huh?
It's a brand new show.
Here's the thing. I got to tell you, I am so low tech that the fact that we're doing this is amazing. That we're actually I found the right buttons. And
you did a great job.
This is the second time that you found all of them.
I'm on a stand now. This is on a stand, which is on top of a box, on top of an amp.
Ooh, what amp?
What amp? It's
what amp?
It's a Vox. It's a little Vox mini box.
Nice.
It's got a real janky sound to it. That's what I like.
Yeah. That's what Brian May liked too.
I was about to say that.
Everything's kind of shooting high because it looks like somebody broke in here and tried to steal all my stuff. I mean, I literally got back here on Saturday after being gone for a month, and when I left, it was like, "Okay, guys, great, we'll see you in a month." And I was, 20 minutes later, I was in the truck heading south.
Yeah, so we talked about the day. I want to know more about the Missy Elliott stuff. Because I know you've recently mentioned on your Facebook page that the production company you used to work for, the guys do amazing props.
Okay, so actually I misspoke on that.
Okay.
In that, Vision Scenery was the scenery company that evolved out of design setters.
Okay.
So in the 90s, I was working for design setters, technically. All the guys who I worked for at design setters left design setters and started Vision Scenery.
Okay.
So it was the same crew, same leaders, same bosses, everything else. But
different
when
name.
I did the Missy Elliott stuff, that was with design setters.
Okay, but this is
But I don't think design setters are around anymore. If you need to get set, go to Vision Scenery.
All right, so
ask for Fernando or Rick and tell Debbie I love her. So
perfect.
I love Debbie too.
Yeah, Debbie sounds great.
Debbie runs the front office and she takes no guff from anybody. She's great.
So did you ever do any dance consulting when you were working with Missy Elliott? Did you combine those two things together?
No, I swung a hammer.
Shut that one down.
I swung a hammer and no, I mean we I started working for that company and it was one of those things. It was a really good match. It was something that I needed at the time. I had a landscape company that went under, and was with somebody, and she introduced me to the people who ran Vision, and it just was a really good match. And Rick and Fernando, the guys I worked for, really believed in me, and they used to say, "Well, Dave speaks redneck. We'll send him." So when anything went to Nashville or Florida or Arkansas, basically we'd ship a set out, and oftentimes either that set needed to be set up or taken down, or it would get there and people would start setting up and there was an issue. So I would be the guy who went out and fixed it, or went out and tried to fix it. So, but they said you can communicate with those guys, and you can speak redneck. So go.
Yeah, and now you live amongst us.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I am in the South. I will tell you a very funny story that'll probably piss a lot of people off.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect. That's great. Do it in your best Boomhauer voice.
So anyway, so I was down with dinner, and about 40 miles down the road, and I was on the bridge. You know the bridge?
Yeah.
No, not that bridge. The other bridge.
Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, yeah, that other bridge, man. It was going down the road.
My crab pot started following my trailer. Anyway, so.
This is why he's my favorite guest. Just hands down.
Yeah, just rolled with Boomhauer.
Yeah.
Okay. Family history. I do not deal well with the battle flag of the Republic.
Okay.
It represents things to me and things in my family history that I really don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So I often see the battle flag of the Republic and just flip it off. And there's lots of places in Virginia that still fly the Confederate flag, the battle flag. So I have a tendency to just be riding along on my motorcycle like this. So so I'm riding by, and there's one place it's always got one flying like that. And about 2 minutes later, man, there are sirens in there's red lights in the rear view mirror, or blue lights there, and the sirens going. So I pull over, and I'm like, I don't know what I did. I mean, I'm just putting on my motorcycle. I know I wasn't going that fast. This young African American deputy gets out of his car and comes up. What the fuck was that about? And I'm like, what?
Uh-huh.
What? He said, what? You can't just drive by and flip a cop off. I'm like, flip you off? I didn't see you. He goes, you drove right by me and flipped me off. I said, no. So you see that flagpole back there? Every time I drive past that thing, I flip it off. And he's like, okay.
All right, you're good. all right, you're cool.
It's like, I'm kind of sorry I pulled you over.
Yeah.
So I just drove by and you went like this. That's for me up.
No, sir.
Not today, officer.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago not to flip off.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not your best strategy.
I mean, it's like, don't argue with authority.
Well, so flipping off the Confederate flag, what do you do to the American flag?
Yeah, dude, I'm an American. That's my flag.
Okay,
I mean,
saluting, hand over the heart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It is, I think, in our without getting into politics or religion or anything else, we've become so polarized that people have tried to claim the flag of the United States, which is all of our flag, as their own. Or, we're going to change this flag, and it means that this group is better than that group. And it's like, hey, guys, sorry. A lot of people fought under, for, and about that flag.
Mm-hmm.
And
of all creeds and races.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't even get started. Like I said, I don't want to get into politics, race, religion, any of that stuff.
Oh, me either. That's boring. I want to talk about aliens.
It's a rabbit hole that we can go down and spend weeks talking about and arguing about. But no, I love this country. This is a fabulous country. This is a country where I know so many people who are either immigrants or people I know in other countries who just want to come here and experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think people made a mistake somewhere in the 80s thinking that the American dream was owning stuff and things like that. Mm-hmm. Where the American dream is to me, is that you can create and be whoever you want to be. It's not who your dad was. It's not, I know people in Europe who are going to do the same thing their parents did because they live in this small town and their parents own this shop and they're going to inherit the shop and they're going to work in the shop. And They've always worked in the shop, and their grandparents worked in the shop, and their great-grandparents worked in the shop, all the way back to Charlemagne, and they're not the ability to reinvent themselves. If I want to be a cowboy tomorrow, I could pack all my crap, move to Montana, and try to get a job as a cowboy.
You could totally pull it off, too.
No. I might starve to death doing it. I might fail miserably.
Yeah.
There is nothing that stands in my way of doing it. And that is not true around the world.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree.
And your story is really evidence of that. I mean, we not just from this episode, but dancer, restaurateur, your landscaping company, working on props now, all the way to, in a sense, reality TV show star, because you are a historical weapons recreation specialist, and now you're morphing that into this event center / teaching place that you're building in Virginia.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
yes,
incredible.
I think I told you last time. I tell people I failed upward.
Yeah. Yeah.
This job crashed. Oh, this job is better. Ooh, that crashed. Oh, this one's better. Ooh, that crashed. But you learn from each other.
And now,
if you learn from each other, you will continue to move upward, regardless of how poorly that last one went.
Yeah.
Most people, though, the thing went poorly, and they live in the moment where that thing crashed for years and years and years and years. If they, I mean, they. There's a fellow named John James who wrote a book, The Grief Recovery Handbook.
Okay.
And I would suggest. I mean, I'm sure it's in its like 30th or 40th iteration by now. I would suggest this book to a lot of people who have suffered a loss, regardless of what that loss is. It's not about your, losing your parents or losing, your children or whatever. It's any kind of loss is a dent in your life. So think of your life as a circle, right? And you take a hit, you lose something. Your circle gets a little bit small.
Yeah.
And when you deal with this, you can kind of drift back out to that big circle of life. But if you don't, you kind of go in on your next loss, and you go in on your next loss, and you go in. You ever seen somebody who's just miserable, they've lost everything?
Yeah.
And they're kind of crunched in and they're hunched. That circle is so small, it's smashing them.
Eventually it'll become a supernova.
Yeah.
Well,
in some people's lives, yeah.
That's another thing. Men's mental health. There's a lot of guys who go supernova.
Yeah.
A lot of guys from the military, but a lot of guys who are my age. I just turned 59 last month.
I hope I look that good at 59.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a Stetson away from being in a cowboy movie.
I gotta lose like 30 pounds of this 59.
You can join us. We're all trying to have abs by Christmas. We'll make you part of the crew.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've already got a case, so I got you guys beat.
Well, in all fairness, it's 2024. Abs by Christmas 2024.
Yeah, we're going to do it gradually.
So, okay, wait, 2024?
Yeah, we have 3 years to do it.
Oh, come on. I can't think that far out. I'm not good at that.
No, me either. That's why we put it that far out.
Yeah, so Daly doesn't have to participate.
Yeah. With the ever extending. But no, what I'm saying is that it's something I'm glad you brought up. Men's mental health is something that I'm very very into building the awareness of. It's terrifying that the highest suicide rate among men is between like 52 and 56.
Oh wow.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's like in their 20s or something.
Yeah, I would think it's younger.
No, that's the thing. I mean, well, I know a lot of guys who got into their 50s and they had their divorce. They hooked up with their trophy girlfriend. She dumped them. The family doesn't want to talk to them anymore because she dumped the family for the trophy girlfriend. So here they sit with their brand new sports car in a shitty little apartment with, trying to find a new job because COVID just wiped out middle management.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good point.
And they're lost. I mean, a lot of guys my age just get lost. It's a lot of what this tattoo is about, the compass on my arm. I got that done when I felt lost. I needed to know that I had a direction. I mean, it's always south, but
wherever you're going, it's true north.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going south again. Damn.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those things that it's swept under the carpet. We as men don't talk about our feelings. We as men don't allow ourselves to talk about our failures.
Mm-hmm.
And those failures can be in relationships. I mean, I always, that's my whole thing. And all of my bad relationships that I've had through my life with women, all the failed relationship, there's one constant in all of them: me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that all of those relationships have in common, is me. So, I can't push it off on somebody else. How much of what I've gone through and what I've created is literally created by me. So, you need to learn to talk about it. In my opinion, men need to learn to talk about these things, share these things, find places to share these things that don't necessarily involve, a bottle. There's a lot of commiserating going on when people are drunk, but the honest commiseration usually happens when you're sober. So
that's a great word of advice. And what did you say the book was, dealing with grief?
It's the Grief Recovery Handbook.
The Grief Recovery Handbook.
And again, this is something I haven't looked up in I don't know. I took a seminar with Russell and John after my father died, which was in '92. So this is 20, almost 30 years ago that they wrote this book. But it's it's one of those things. Put it on the shelf and go buy one, keep it on the shelf, and when a friend needs it, I mean, I'd read it yourself, but when a friend needs it, it's a great book to just pass on.
Yeah,
just say, when you're ready to read this, read this.
They've got it as low as $4 online right now. Yeah, the 20th anniversary edition was just published in 2017.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big self-help guy, but it's full of a lot of truths that sometimes you just need to read them or hear them.
Yeah.
To understand them or to get a different visual on what you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can definitely relate to what you're talking about. Women, I think, deal with being perfect, beautiful, doing all the things you're supposed to do. And men definitely deal with strength. And it's not strong to admit that you're weak. So that's definitely, a challenge that I've had dealing, the pandemic brought up a lot of those things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of those things. And I think a lot of people are going through that right now with reintroducing themselves to society.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody I worked with. I saw their face for the first time in like 8 months the last week. I mean, how weird is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I think we need to start saying, especially as men, as a group, is that showing insecurities and things like that is not weakness. Hiding them is weakness.
Yeah.
Admitting them is how you deal with them and move past them. I'm terrified of heights. So I used to rock climb and the high roads, driving on high roads, I get vertigo. Mm-hmm. And it's that feeling like I'm being pulled towards the edge. Mm-hmm. So I'm gripping the steering wheel and my counter steering, and I almost wind up in the oncoming traffic because I'm
flipping them off.
Being sucked off the road. No, I'm telling you, it's over the top weird phobia crap. It doesn't make any sense. So oftentimes I will find a place that scares me but doesn't terrify me, and like ride my motorcycle on it a half dozen times.
Just to remind yourself that you can do it.
Yeah,
whether it's a fake.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the motorcycle works. There's a guardrail. I really have to try to get over that thing.
Yeah.
One trick that I've picked up is anytime I have a fear or a thought come into my mind that I know is not true, I always think that somebody else put it there. Like, and I've called this guy Chad. And he goes, "Oh, shut up, Chad. That's not true. That's not real. Shut up."
Yeah.
It's just your
I often have,
insecurities.
when I have one of those spirits or something in the back of my brain, I often jump to on a piece of furniture and scream like a girl. But
Or like Tom Cruise.
now I'll just start screaming Chad. So
Yeah.
no, it's one of those things. I think we're taught by pop culture and certainly by some of our fathers that men, we have to be strong. We have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Have you ever thought of that phrase?
Yep.
Well, you do
Pull
that, you're going to
yourself
fall
up.
down. You can't actually lift yourself by your shoes.
David Blaine can.
David Blaine, I think, would be the exception to that rule.
Yeah.
If you're David Blaine, you can pull yourself up.
It's the never jump into the deep end. No, always jump into the deep end. You jump into the shallow end, you will break your face on the bottom of the pool. So I just think, like I said, it's one of those things that I hope that as men we become more aware of our mental health issues, and I think as we do, we will see less. We'll see less domestic violence. We'll see less of the mass shooting type crimes. It's those are almost always done by people who just aren't dealing with their shit.
Yeah.
They want to make everybody else deal with their shit in a really loud way because they're not allowed to deal with it in a quiet, healthy way.
I gotta say, I couldn't agree more on that front. We've actually had some guests on that have talked specifically about that and about the way that men lack the tools to be able to process those kind of things. And I think COVID has really highlighted a lot of that for me. I think especially for guys that are doing what I'm doing, that are in ministry, is that and whether it's in ministry, whether it's leaders in business or whatever it is, that there's a certain place where you get to where you're not answering to anybody necessarily, but you're responsible for a lot of things. Then it becomes really lonely. And as those decisions and things start to pile up, it's just like what you talked about. That circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And man,
a failure feels much bigger than it is.
Oh, absolutely. A failure feels like it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And the further you go down that road, the smaller failures seem like bigger and bigger things because you're never relieved of that pressure. And
right.
I think it's an important thing.
But you can also never get away from it. I mean, it's that having everything on your boat set up perfectly, but being afraid to get out of sight of land. But the closer to land you get, the more danger it's going to get. There's the rocks up there and everything else. But the fear is keeping you from going this way, making you want to go that way, and that's the danger. It's like, let's trust the tools you've got. But yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of this stems from changes in our in our public schools. I mean, when was the last time you heard of anybody taking a civics class? They don't teach it anymore.
No.
Remember government civics classes?
Oh yeah.
When the government worked, and you learned how to be a good neighbor, and you learned how to there were responsibilities to the people around you, not just to yourself.
They're also getting away from funding the arts, which is just a whole other rabbit
again,
hole.
that you're taking away outlets that people use, to get that creativity out there, and a lot of anger goes away with creativity.
Oh yeah,
and it's one of the things we find with returning soldiers and PTSD. Smithing is a violent act. It's an amazing creative act, but at the same time, it's visceral. You're holding hot metal. It's hot. You've got a hammer. It's exhausting. But at the end of the thing, you've created something. You haven't destroyed it. And you've transmuted a bar of metal into a useful tool.
Yeah.
The arts, I think, are incredibly important and something that we should all be supporting. But, we not to get back into government, but well, I don't agree with your art, therefore I'm not going to fund it. It's like, get over yourself, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like art's interpretive. If it doesn't hurt, it's not good.
Well, that's the truth. We've had several comedians on the show, and they've said, the thing you have to understand about comedy is that there's always got to be a butt of the joke. Whether you are the butt of the joke, or whether society is, or whether it's a certain viewpoint, or whether it's, you know, an unsuspecting bystander that ends up in the scenario
that got up to go to the bathroom, and
that there's always got to be that. But that's the way that you make the point, because every truth has just a little bit of pain or something that goes along with it. But that's how we're made better.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to do it, and there's ways not to do it, but. You know, it's funny. I don't find embarrassment comedy funny.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not to attack anybody's work, but it's like most Ben Stiller movies are about being horrendously embarrassed in any given situation.
Yes.
It's like, you know, oh, here's the Speedo that's too small, and you're caught with your shrinkage or whatever. It's just being embarrassed. And I cringe. I don't watch those movies because I cringe because I can't. My brain goes to, oh my God, what if I was in that situation? You know, and self-deprecating humor I tend to love. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, look at how many comedians do self-deprecating humor who just aren't healthy people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about mental health,
tearing themselves apart and pointing out their flaws, but then that flaw becomes what they are. I mean, it becomes their trademark. It's like guys from the 70s who are, what's the guitarist with the hat? It's like, dude,
Slash.
That was cool in 1980. That was cool. It's freaking 2021, dude.
Well, there's nothing under that hat anymore, and he's got to keep the curls up.
Yeah, the hair is attached to the hat.
Yeah, it's a wig.
like he's an old school rabbi, like Mel Brooks.
AC/DC, the guy in the school kid outfit. It's like,
everyone's paying and they want to see it, but it's
trapped by the image that you try to portray.
I mean, it's the same with actors that they don't want to get typecast in one particular role.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I mean, it's
as a musician, it's same with comedians too.
Well, David Baker has been typecast as my favorite guest throughout all of this, and one of the things that
very much, but
no, you absolutely are, because
you definitely are.
Yeah, you can go from funny stuff to in depth on things, but you're also a very creative person, a very deep thinker, and we appreciate all of that. One of the things that we started not long after the first time we interviewed you is a segment on our show called Controlled Rowdiness. And so what we want to do is we're going to just fire off some questions to you.
Okay.
And we want you to answer what some of them are yes or no, some of them are either or, some of them are a little open-ended, but we just want you to answer with the first thing that comes to your head. All right?
Okay. I'm probably going to turn my edit button on right now. So.
Okay, perfect. So the first question is...
Just so the morals clause on my contract isn't invoked.
We'll still. This is all going to be like dumb questions and aliens.
I'm my own word candidate. Fire away.
Yeah.
On lunch.
Perfect. Okay, so Harleys or Indians?
Indians.
Ooh.
Dogs or cats?
It's a style thing.
Yeah.
I love Harleys. Don't get me wrong. Love Harleys. Right now, the new Indians are so beautifully engineered.
They're gorgeous motorcycles.
If you hadn't ridden one, you should just get off.
Okay, I have a different question. I didn't like my question.
Okay.
Where do you get your wardrobe?
Somebody asked me what my style is. I said, what was it? Neo-Victorian cowboy chic.
Yeah. Where is that shop? Like, what's your favorite shop to go to?
There's a shop. A lot of the waistcoats and vests I get came from a shop called... and I think they call them Historical Emporium now. It used to be Gentleman's Emporium, but I think it's Historical Emporium.
Lucas, you got that?
They deal in a lot of companies like Scully and Wamaker that make classic cowboy apparel.
Right. I mean, I think there's definitely most of the multiverse of other versions of you are cowboys. You got a Stetson and a 6-shooter, and you're in Montana.
You've never seen me in my frock coat with my big Tom Mix hat on.
No. Oh, yeah. We're gonna need that picture for the episode.
When I go to rodeos and stuff like that, I'll be in a pair of like black jeans, a frock coat down to my knees, my big thumb mix hat.
That's awesome.
I need a frock coat.
Do you think there was better choreography in the movie Highlander or Dirty Dancing?
There was more realistic choreography in Dirty Dancing, but you gotta love Highlander just because there can be only one.
Okay, all right.
We know that you like Mandalorian, right? The TV show, the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
the TV show.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to make
mine is the stunt coordinator.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow, it's great. I love the Mandalorian.
Yeah, pass his info along. We'd love to interview him. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, he's a great guy.
So, if you had the opportunity to make a weapon out of Beskar steel, what would it be?
Okay.
You can't say Scottish basket hilt because that's what you said the whole last episode.
Yeah, well, they'd probably make a Scottish basket hilt, but it would be a Graptar basket hilt.
A different type of basket.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I'd go with something with a curve.
Okay.
Because in the Star Wars universe, pantheon, whatever, all the lightsabers are straight.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because the light's traveling, obviously, in there, whatever, it's got to come out the crystal and it goes in a straight line. Except the broken crystal, which has little things on it.
I love how nerdy you just got right now.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
So if you had a Beskar steel or a Beskar metal weapon that had a curve to it, like a saber of some kind, you could fight in a fashion that nobody else fights in. So you would confuse your opponent.
Good answer. Do you think that if you were fighting an alien from Aliens with a Beskar steel weapon, that it would survive the acid blood?
That you're fighting a xenomorph with a Star Wars blade?
Yeah. Well, because everything else gets eaten up by acid.
That's true.
Yeah, if I was like in my acid-proof chainmail outfit, seriously, you kill them, they bleed on you, and you're dead. I mean, it's like a zombie thing. This is why I hate the alien thing. They're like zombies. It's a no-win scenario. Now you breed the plant and you turn into aliens on planet whatever from that last alien
Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much buried the whole thing. Other than
yeah,
aliens fighting, whatever.
I did not like that movie.
So
it was terrible. That's just
Ridley Scott. Don't make any more bad movies.
You've
can't believe that was almost named after you.
You've got a
I love Ridley Scott. I'm just kidding.
A movie that's attached to your IMDb page called The Hunted.
Yeah. That was so much fun.
What did you do on The Hunted?
The Hunted started out as a concept by a friend of mine. Bob was teaching stage combat in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And Bob Chapin. And for his class, he wanted them to be able to film things. So he created The Hunted as it's sort of Highlander meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
So the only way to kill a vampire is to cut off their head. Mm-hmm. Right. So there are those who have been bitten who like the Daywalker vibe, have vampire powers, but don't. They heal quick, and they're faster and they're strong. So he created this little world, and his class started making these things, and then it got out through some friends of ours who were like on the East Coast, and someone said, "Hey, can we do one?" So everybody started putting these videos together of their encounters as slayers, the vampire hunters, and their encounters with vampires. And some of them are funny as hell, and some of them are really serious. Some of them are just like the worst, 2 sheets in the garage with the work light kind of half in the frame.
And somebody throws garlic bread at them.
Yeah. So Bob put together a GoFundMe kind of thing, and got enough money together to do a film. And he's an editor. He's a special effects editor. And so we did this thing, and he called me up and he said, "Do you want to play one of the parts?" I'm like, "Yeah."
That's amazing.
So I made a lot of weapons for it, and we put this thing together, and it's a fun movie. I mean, it's definitely a low budget, straight to cable kind of vibe, but it's fun. The story
awesome.
works, and it's silly, and there's a lot of good humor in it. There's some halfway decent fights in it as well.
So Grease 2 to Hunted.
We're definitely dropping in budget.
All right, who do you think is the bigger honor to have follow you on Twitter? On Instagram, me or Post Malone?
Now, see, I heard Post Malone is following me on Instagram. So that's why I put out that thing. I'm like, dude, Post, come on by.
Yeah.
I mean, come down to the farm. We'll make some blades, dude.
That would be so awesome.
But have you haven't heard anything back yet?
Because I know he's really into it, and his vibe is so other.
Yeah.
With the whole rap thing, and it's like, I love meeting people who are from completely different worlds than mine that have the same interests. It's like I've met some like super crazy smart PhD people. Then every weekend they play D&D.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way. Like, I have no idea what that entire conversation about. But man, if I had two, if I could roll double 18,
I believe your advice to us last episode was take your 20-sided dice and go to the con by yourself if people don't like it.
If they don't understand you, take your 20-sided dice and go to the Comic-Con without them.
I like it.
Well, what do people tell you on the street? Like when they see you, do they yell anything or say anything to get your attention?
Yeah, it's fun. I did Blade Show this year, the Atlanta Blade Show.
Yeah.
And the fans of our show are remarkable. I mean, they're just wonderful people. I can't believe how many people just hugged, just give me a big hug and said, oh, my whole family watches your show, and it's the only show we all watch together. And I'm like, dude, we're slashing pigs and stabbing.
It's awesome.
Everybody's nice.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Everybody's nice. So I'm like, oh, yeah. But, and the amount of veterans that I met at the Blade Show who just, were like, dude, life-changing experience. I hammer metal now. I suck at it, but it keeps my brain where I need my brain to be.
Good. That's awesome.
You guys have done some great episodes with veterans too.
Yeah. Well, most of them are great guys. So fans, I mean, look, fans are mixed. There's sometimes they get a little bit crazy online. Sometimes, you have to say, okay.
Blocked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's not because anybody's bad. It's just because the obsession's a weird thing, and it's not a healthy thing. And feeding somebody's obsession is not something I ever want to do. Yeah. So sometimes it's better to just make them mad at you.
All right. So last question, and that is Forged in Fire now has created not just a huge fan base. You guys you said you got over 200 episodes now. What was it like hitting syndication? Because now you are on all of the major streaming platforms. Like Danley said pre-show that you are kind of at a lot of our homes. Forged in Fire is the background noise of our life.
It's playing all day.
Season 1 from Netflix is constantly going, and when it's like, are you still watching? Yes.
Okay, no, Netflix is only season 6.
Okay. So sorry. Yeah. Season
and now
6.
Discovery History just sold their library to Discovery Plus.
Okay.
So we should be available on Discovery Plus, all except season 6, which is on Netflix.
Yeah, so you're everywhere now. Like, what's that been like?
Okay, so funny story. I went to I spent not this last Christmas, but 2 Christmases before in Spain.
Okay.
I've never been to Spain, and I went there and fell in love with it. So the following year, I went the year before with a lady who I was seeing, and
is this Lady Zorro?
No, that didn't work out.
What was the name of that movie?
Common denominator.
Yeah.
So the following year, I didn't have any plans for Christmas. I was still technically living in Los Angeles, though I had bought the house so I bought the house in Virginia. I just needed to go somewhere. And I thought, there's things in Spain I just want to see. So I just went to Spain. I went to Granada because I wanted to see the Alcazar, which is the big Moorish castle.
Yeah.
In Granada. So I was told, and rightly so, that you don't need, if you don't have pre-sale tickets, if you get up really early in the morning and get in line, there's like 100, 150 tickets that they save for daily buy.
Okay.
Well, I found out that they don't do that at Christmas time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm in Granada, staying right across from the Alcazar, which I can't go in. And so I was walking down the road and headed down into the old part of town down below the Alcazar. And this road sort of curved back up. And I walked up this road, and there's this big, old, funny gate. It's open. So I walked through that. I'm walking around. I'm like, I think I'm in the Alcazar. Well, this is kind of cool. So I'm walking around, and this groundskeeper goes, "Okay, Senor Baker." I'm like, "Oh yeah, in Fuego." Yeah, he's trying to speak English. I'm doing bad work Mexican, and basically we got to the point where he goes, "Senor Baker, ticket."
Oh
like,
no.
I kind of came in through, it's bueno. Vámonos. Bye-bye.
Oh,
so
no.
I got thrown out of the Alcazar by a fan.
So glad to meet you.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Adios.
Yeah, no, the show was huge in Spain. Everywhere I went, people were just, en fuego, Senor Baker.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but saying I'm on fire every time I walk around the corner was a little bit, there was one night I was in the, where was I? I was in the old quarter of Granada and getting coffee in the middle of the night, and I've got my good camera hanging off my side, and I see these 2 young guys outside kind of doing the eyeballing thing. And I'm traveling. Sometimes you wind up in a neighborhood that's a little sketchy late at night, and you're like, I'm getting a bad vibe. I need to find a taxi or public transportation.
I had to make one purchase and then leave.
Yeah.
So I leave this place, and I hear these 2 guys behind me. And they're I can hear the talking, and I can hear them walking behind me. And these are like these skinny little alleyways and stuff through, I'm like, oh, this is not going to. So I finally just turned around. There was a lit kind of place, and I said, what? And the guy goes, Baker?
I already left the castle. What?
The one guy punched the other guy. I told you.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, are you kidding me? If I had a knife, I would have been hiding around the corner waiting to stab you.
That's amazing. Well, Senor Baker.
Just at the show, they saw me, and then they thought they'd follow me around until they could figure out if it was me or not.
Oh, that's incredible.
My son came down to visit, and we're in line. We did some touristy stuff down there in Virginia. We were at the Jamestown Colony, which is a sort of living history museum.
Mm-hmm.
We're grabbing some lunch, and I can hear my son behind me going, "Oh yeah, that's him." Rat me out in line to somebody who's going, "Is that Dave Baker?" "No, yeah, that's him."
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it seems like in order for you to go in I don't know, camouflage or whatever, you'd have to shave your beard, right? Like that's the one thing that sticks out.
No, because I've had people, when I'm wearing a mask, You know,
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
With a mask on, and someone goes, "Hey, you're David Baker." Like, how?
Yeah, how? My eyes?
The tattoos. A lot of it's about the tattoos.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They'll see the tattoos, or I'll be wearing my Baker, one of my Baker Blades hats, the BB hats, and they'll see that and they'll put it all together. But you know, I don't mind it. I love the fact that the fans feel comfortable enough that, I mean, that, you know, everybody's, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, I know you're on your own time." It's like, dude, don't be sorry. Without you, I don't get a paycheck.
Well, Senior Baker, this has been an absolute pleasure.
If I can say something to all the fans of my show, I can't tell you how much we appreciate all the input that you guys give, all the letters, all the social media stuff. I try to respond to everything I can. I can't respond to everything, but you'll see me pop up a lot making comments in the background. But I just, you know, I'm really grateful that I have this job and that people who watch it make that possible. So.
Thank you so much for coming on the show again, man. I can't. We have at least 15 questions that we left on the table because you had more interesting things to talk about than we had to ask. So
we'll do it again now.
David freaking Baker. I know I said it several times on the show, but he's got to be hands down one of. He's a top 3 guest that we've had on.
Oh, for sure. He makes weapons.
That interview was all over the place.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was. I feel like he's one of those, and this kind of happened with Stephen Mansfield. Is that the second time we had him on, they knew us a little bit. We knew them, and
we were less nervous.
Yeah, and we got to just have fun with them, and it was an absolute blast.
Yeah, Stephen Mansfield, we were both in suits the first time. The second time, we were much more comfortable. With David Baker, we were both terrified. We weren't in suits, but we were both highly intimidated.
He was the first big guest that we had on the show, and
he's
no bones
one of
about
the coolest guys on the planet too.
Yeah.
In addition to being the first big guest, he is fantastic.
And we did get the official invite to go out to Virginia to the farm to come hang out, and he would teach us how to forge.
String.
Yeah, to go play his guitars and hang out on the front porch, and after the show,
take a bath in his bath,
and
maybe maybe take a bubble bath.
And after the show, there was mention of maybe him coming on with a couple of the guys from Forged in Fire and having a group interview in which he told us, "You're not going to get any words in edgewise, but it would be an absolute blast." I would love it. Yeah. I would love it.
So we are currently working on this.
Yeah. Now, David did bring up a bunch of interesting things, but one of the things he really hit home on while we were having that discussion, and one that we want to make sure, because I know we've highlighted it on the show several times, and that is the importance of mental health, especially for men. The book that he recommended, we're going to have links to it in the show notes because it's a phenomenal piece. In 2017, the 20th anniversary was published. It is a really great book on dealing with grief, and no matter what kind of loss. We want to make sure that we highlight that. Dave has been very open about some of the struggles that he and some other of the friends and stuff he's grown up with and have had around him over the last several years have especially dealt with during COVID. And so we do want to make sure that resource. So if it's something that you've dealt with, something you've struggled with, make sure that you not just go and find a place where you can go find a community, whether it's a church or a support group, or if you just click the link in the description of this video or in the show notes to make sure that you can snag a copy of that book so that you can start to get the help that you need, even if you think that you're healthy. Knowing the tools, having the tools to deal with grief, with loss is just an important thing.
Well, his suggestion of get the book and read it for yourself, certainly, but keep it on your shelf for when someone that you love is going through it, and you say, hey, here's, in addition to helping any way you can, this is a great way to arm yourself with some knowledge.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great suggestion.
It was awesome, and I'm really I think maybe honored might be the best way to put it, that he trusted us enough to be able to not just bring that up, but to talk about it as candidly as he did was pretty cool.
It actually showed, like you mentioned, it shows a lot of strength to be open on your weaknesses that frankly we all have.
Yeah, it was
again, especially as men, we're trained. I mean, it's ingrained in us to be strong. It's the thing that attracts a mate. It's the thing that allows you to provide. And showing weakness is dangerous, or at least it feels that way.
Yeah.
So I was really glad. I like talking about especially men's mental health. I mean, we can talk about women's mental health. I don't have a whole lot to add to that, but
I actually think I have a whole lot to subtract from women's mental health. If you were to ask my wife in particular, that more often than not, I'm a danger to her mental health, and so maybe that's where our role is there. Everything that he talked about though was so fun.
Yeah,
I think that it was so funny. He was candid.
I loved how he nerded out with Star Wars and
talking about
he
the
just
cracked
rolled,
saber that goes in different directions.
He rolled with my dumb questions on, well, what weapon would you use to kill a xenomorph? Made with Beskar steel. Definitely crossover. Some nerddom crossover there, but he rolled with all of it just like last time. So
he's such
fantastic.
A blast. His career as a dancer so to pull back the curtain a little bit, the question that we asked about Highlander, which was the better movie or which movie had better choreography, Highlander or Dirty Dancing. The original question that we had that led us to that was which movie had better choreography, Dirty Dancing, Footloose, or Grease 2, and then we changed it to Highlander and the other. It was so funny that he brought up that he was actually in Grease 2, since that was something that was like what sparked some of the jokes in our pre-show meeting as we're getting ready for some of that. He had no idea, but immediately we were just like, oh man. Yep. So that was great. Talking about Ric Flair was cool.
Yep.
Interesting, even though he was kind of in and out. I think it's wild that they get hate for that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that because I would, maybe I'm a different breed, but I would love to see them branch out into fantasy. I mean, I know that there's other shows that do that, but again, making some of the weapons that we see in some of the shows that we watch, whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek, the Klingon, I can't remember what it's called, the stick with the pointy ends,
the pointy Klingon stick.
You know what I'm talking about? They fight like this.
Yeah.
That would be great for him to bring that in and say, make it. But
it would be cool.
But it would be a departure from their current programming of historical weapons.
And
it sounds like the fan base wouldn't like it.
No, and speaking of the historical weapons that people don't like, the pointy swords,
pokey swords.
Yeah, the pokey swords. It was a great conversation about that.
Yeah.
Maybe if you've got ideas for an interesting way to test a pokey sword that would make for great television, let us know. Put it down in the comments. Put a video of it. Don't hurt yourself, and we'll make sure that Dave gets it and sees it. I mean, obviously he'll be in look. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's like me, is that he doesn't look back at it. That he doesn't go and rewatch all the episodes. But he did say he had fun, and that's what counts.
He just keeps moving on.
Yeah.
Like you said, failing upward.
He's continuing to fail upwards.
Yep.
And our show is evidence that he has failed upwards, because this is the lowest you can get on the podcasting rung, is to be on our program.
Oh, man. Well, it was fantastic having him back on.
Such a blast. I can't wait for round 3, which is inevitable. Mm-hmm. Make sure that if you're dealing with mental health issues, male, female, whatever, grab yourself a copy of the Grief Recovery Handbook. We'll have links to it in the show notes. Make sure that you continue to watch. Season 8 of Forged in Fire is about to get up and rolling. Actually, by the time this airs, it will be up and rolling. They've got some really cool new weapons. Dave actually just came off of shooting a show, which he was really excited about, that there were some secrets.
Very top secret.
Yes, that there was something that he hoped was going to get to happen, and then it might not get to happen, and then all of a sudden it did get to happen, and so our interview got pushed back a little bit. So there's awesome stuff that's coming this season. Make sure that you check it out. Go subscribe to his fan page if you want to see what's going on with the new stuff that's happening on the farm. Dave does not self-promote nearly enough. Go make sure that you check that out. Follow him on Instagram. He is a phenomenal follow. I actually got the little diamond next to my name when I comment on him on Facebook. I'm a Tops fans.
All right, good for you.
Yeah, so check out David Baker. Next week we're on with Tom Leopold, which I think is going to be another fun interview. But man, I think I'm going to be riding the David Baker high for about a week.
Oh yeah, me too.
So subscribe. Check it out.
Yeah, definitely like and subscribe.
Yeah, and
Hey, this is Dave Baker from Forged in Fire, and this is why you should never trust the Reverend and the Reprobate.
1943. There was 22 you went down.
that's my.
Hello.
Hey.
All right, now I just need to...